Howdy y'all. Today we'll be going over AC versus DC positive versus DC negative and their weld characteristics for penetration. Let's get to it. What I have here is going to be showing AC versus DC positive versus DC negative weld characteristics for penetration. Now it's going to show for AC, DC positive, and DC negative, according to American Welding Society, what their penetration looks like. So for AC, we have medium penetration. It's going to look something like this. There are many various drawings of what it looks like. Even the American Welding Society, AWS, has several different drawings, but they're pretty much all like this. It's just almost like a half circle. Again, there are some variations, so if someone comes up and says, well, this page has that, I get it. They're not all the same. You can go to 20 different welding schools and they'll have 20 different versions of this, but just know that it's medium penetration. It is somewhat like this. So for our DC positive, characteristic of DC positive for penetration is deep. Notice that it is much deeper than AC, but it is also narrower. It's not going to be as wide. AC is just kind of a nice half circle, whereas this is more of a cone shape. Think of the plus sign, it goes deeper. You have more depth. Plus sign is more depth. So you're going to be going deeper, but you won't have it as wide. It won't be as uniform as AC. It's going to have more of that cone shape. That is what your penetration will look like on DC positive. So plus sign for positive, deeper. You have more depth with the positive sign. That's how I try and get my students to remember that. DC positive means more depth. Lastly on our list is DC negative. The welding characteristic for penetration of DC negative will be shallow. I would like to note also, as I did for DC positive, the width compared to AC and DC positive. The width is much wider, but it will be much more shallow. So if you're trying to remember all this, just remember AC is medium, DC positive is deep, DC negative is shallow. You don't have to remember that it's shallow, wider, and all the specifications. It is good to know, but just to start off, for penetration, AC is medium penetration. DC positive is deep. You have the plus sign, it's deeper. There's a lot more to it. It's going deeper. You have more depth there. DC negative, shallow. You don't have much penetration. It's a minus sign. It's minimal. And it will be wider. So if you're wanting to be a little bit more advanced and you're wanting to know more about welding, you're going to want to remember that AC is the in-between, the medium of DC positive and DC negative. It will have medium depth, but also medium width. DC positive will have lots of depth, but minimal width. DC negative will have shallow penetration, but greater width. I know that sounds very confusing. That's why I wanted that for the more advanced students out there that want to memorize that. Or if you want to write that down and memorize that now, it can help later down the line in tougher welding classes. But just think of AC going back and forth. It's going in between DC positive and DC negative. It will have medium depth in between deep penetration and in between shallow penetration. It will also have medium width. So it won't be narrow from DC positive, but also won't be wide from DC negative. It's a nice in-between on all fronts. Now there are times that you'll want DC positive because you're wanting some deep penetration. Other times, say you're welding on thinner material, you may want DC negative because it will have less penetration. You're not going to be penetrating as much. You have a wider puddle, wider weld. So AC is medium penetration. DC positive, the plus sign, it's more, it's deep penetration. DC negative, it's minimal, it's shallow. Minus sign, it's minimal. So hope this helps. Let me know if y'all want me to go over this in a different format. This is somewhat the way I learn. I added some to it, the way I would teach my students, because I think this makes a little bit more sense than the way I was taught. But let me know if y'all want it in a different format, if you want it laid out differently on the whiteboard. I'll be more than happy to do that. Let me know in the comments section. But always remember, AC will be medium penetration. DC positive, plus sign, is deeper. Plus is more. DC negative, shallow. It's not much. Almost imagine this is the minus sign. It's shallow. It's not deep at all, but it's wider width. DC positive is narrow on width. AC is a nice in between. It's a medium on all fronts. Medium depth, medium width. Hope this helps. Let me know if you want this in different format, what y'all think. Is this similar to what y'all learn in your classes? Is it the same? I'm curious to know, and I'll see y'all in the next video.